You guys, welcome back to RevRoad. Doesn't it feel great to be actually in a room with other human beings? I don't know about you, but I feel great about it. You guys, welcome back. We're glad that you're here. We have such a great interview for you today. Like AJ mentioned, we are talking with Kevin and Annie Auernig today. They are the founders of Sodalicious, which if you're not familiar with, you should stop and get a drink when you leave here because I'm obsessed. I'm addicted. Kevin and Annie founded Sodalicious in 2013, and it has now grown to have 24 stores in 3 states. They live in Provo with their 3 kids, and they spend 20 out of 24 hours with each other. And outside of that, they spend a lot of time drinking soda, which makes perfect sense. And you guys, after our interview with them today, they did provide some Sodalicious cookies, which can be found on the back table next to lunch. So you're welcome. Give it up for Kevin and Annie, and we're going to welcome them to the stage. Hi. We're going to put you right on the blue couch. I get the gray chairs. You guys get the fancy blue couch. It works like this every time.
Oh, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You too.
You guys, welcome. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Good.
Hi,
good.
guys.
Yes, you guys can interact as well. If we talk to you, you can talk back.
Yeah,
So that's how it works, live interviews. Crazy thing. So I kind of want to kick things off just getting to know you guys. Where did the idea for Sodalicious start? Where did this whole journey come from? Tell us all about it.
You want me to go?
Sure.
I have a background in film, so I spent about 15 years doing costume designs for productions. And on film sets, they have this wonderful thing called craft services, and they provide you every snack and food and drink you desire. But I wasn't a huge caffeine drinker, in fact.
Yeah, no, she was not. She didn't like. So I came into the marriage with like a pretty bad Diet Coke habit.
I mean, it wasn't bad. I thought it was.
And she, like a few months in, was like, you know, you're going through a 12-pack of Diet Coke a week. And it was like with a lot of judgment she was giving me. And I was like, is that a lot?
It seemed like
that
a lot
seems
to me.
like
So
not a lot at all.
I didn't drink any soda. I didn't understand. I mean, I feel like I'm losing this, you guys. I'm sorry. I didn't understand caffeine or soda or the need for it until I was working 16-hour days and I had babies. And anyway, so I didn't like regular Diet Coke or regular Coke. I needed flavors in them. And so we'd start these drinks. We'd have the ice and the cups and the Diet Coke, and I was buying all the little syrups, and we were making these drinks in the wardrobe trailer, and we were rolling them out to set every day at like 11 and providing our wardrobe specials, we called them, to everybody. And so that project was a 5-year project we were working on. It was finishing, and we started Sodalicious with another couple, our business partners, who I had worked with in film for many years. And so we kind of looked at each other one night and said, we should do this. We should make drinks for lots of people in a drive-thru. So I came home. Geez, am I doing this wrong, Peyton? Anyway, I came home one night at like 11. Kev was sitting in the kitchen because Kev stayed home with the kids at that point in our marriage.
Well, she was like gone 16 hours a day, and so we had 2 littles at the time. So I was a house husband for a couple years.
He was good at it.
And she came home one night, and it was like 10:30 at night, and I was like sitting at the table eating dinner, and she came in and she was, we're gonna start a soda shack. You want to start a soda shack? You want just talking so fast and like what is happening right now? And I don't know what a soda shack is, and because originally our idea was we're gonna take this and we're gonna, instead of doing a snow cone shack, we're gonna do a soda shack. And we were going to put it in an RC Willey parking lot, and you were just going to be able to drive up, and you wouldn't have to get out of your car to get your drink. And so we started down that road, and then quickly found out that the health department doesn't allow you to have a soda machine in a snow cone shack. And so we had to find a place that wasn't expensive. We were like, we don't want to spend money on rent. We didn't want to
Yeah, because the play for this wasn't to be our life. This was supposed to just literally be a little tiny side hustle that would throw off, some investment funding maybe for down the line. I wanted to buy car washes.
She wanted to buy car washes and laundromats.
Seemed like a good plan.
That was the plan for us. And so anyways, but But
I'm not ashamed that we pivoted, just so you know.
So we found this little spot in downtown Provo. It was Johnny's Barbershop. It wasn't even a drive-through. Johnny was only using the front half of the building, and the back half of the building was an old 1977 insurance office, like wood paneling on the walls and just like, but we found that and we called the landlord. There wasn't like a sign or anything that said for rent, but we found out who owned the building. We called him, and he's kind of this really nice gentleman, and I just love to see entrepreneurs give it a go. Like, he was just like, go for it. And I think he's thinking, you're going to fall apart and fail, but even like we called Coke, and I said, hey, I need a machine. I need a Coke machine, and I need it to have 10 flavors on it. And I did the same thing with Pepsi, and Pepsi came, and they were like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. Well, let's give this a go. And Coke came and said, look, I'll give you 4 flavors.
In this guy's defense, we were upstairs in the barbershop, and the roof, we were
you
like
had to
hunched.
kind of sit like this.
And there's this carpet on the ground, and we were like making a big ask, and he was just like,
he said,
idiots.
I don't want to put a 10-head Coke machine in here because I'm just going to have my guys pull it out of here in 3 months. And so that's kind of how.
That was longer than you probably hoped for.
That
Sorry.
was perfect.
Sorry.
No, that was perfect.
Yeah.
I loved it. So what were some of the biggest challenges early on? You mentioned the ceiling. I'm sure that was a neck challenge, but what were some other challenges you faced early on?
Do you want to go?
Well, where do I start?
I feel like they were all challenges. Like, let's be honest. We didn't know what we were doing. Our partners didn't know what we were doing. I was continuing to work. Our partners were continuing to work full-time jobs. Kevin and I were like tagging in and out. He was working the window most nights. It was the initial phase was, I think time was probably our biggest challenge, right?
Yeah, I think.
It wasn't an expensive business to start.
No, we got in it relatively inexpensively. I think there was just a lot of partnership dynamics that were really challenges at the time. Just going into business with friends is tricky. And then I think there was, I think there was a lot of challenges going through like community development and just.
Yeah, I'm sad a little bit we didn't have mentors at that point. I think we would have been well served by somebody saying like, this is how you address trying to turn a building that's not a drive-through into a drive-through.
Any reasonable mentor, though, would have said, don't do this. Like,
Probably.
don't do this. This is
It's
a bad
true.
idea.
It's true.
So, anyways.
I love it. So challenges with partnerships, challenges just with starting up in general. Did you ever feel any kind of pressure with challenges in comparison? I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with comparing themselves to older or more successful businesses, and we get really sucked into kind of this circle of comparison. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I can speak well to it. So when we started Sodalicious, we didn't know that there was a place called Swig that existed. And later they sued us, and it was a mess and a couple years of just whatever. But when we started, we didn't know until we started telling people this is what we're going to do. They were like, oh, well, there's already this place in St. George that does that. And so we're like, great, well, they're not in Provo. So again, this was a 1977 insurance office, the back of Johnny's Barbershop. And we had to put in all the plumbing. And we didn't have the money to like pay somebody to put the plumbing in. So I was digging out the floor in that place. And I remember I was like 3 feet, like digging this just trench for the 3-basin sink. And someone called and said, hey, Swig just announced they're coming to Provo. They're going to open, I think they had 2 locations at the time in St. George, and it was going to be like their 3rd shop. And they just announced they're coming to Provo. And I remember like just sitting there on my shovel, like thinking, I was like there by myself, I'm just thinking, what do I do? Like, do I just dig 3 more feet and bury myself? and it's a very clear moment for me in my life. It's something I have looked back on multiple times in my life, and I know I will probably through the rest of eternity. But it was something where I thought, no, I'm going to own the fact that I'm in the back of this barber shop. And I know a little something about human nature that people like to compare. People like to have their team, they like to have their candidate, they like to compare. And I'm going to invite people to try us both when they open up. We opened before they did in Provo, but when they finally opened up, people would come through. Well, geez, COVID, just spitting out there.
He doesn't have it.
Sorry,
that I know of,
Pate.
but.
I feel like Peyton and I are kind of like family. So, anyways, so I invited people to compare, and I just said, look, try us both out. If you like them better, then I have no business being in the soda business. And that was kind of the way I just owned it and thought, great, we'll just go. And people came back and kept coming back, and we're really grateful for that.
That was really important. I would like to speak to the age of things, because I think it's our nature also to think like, man, this company's doing so much more. And this is a regular conversation between us. I still sort of get panicked sometimes if I spend my time looking around at what other people are doing and how fast or how slow or whatever. And the reminder is always, if you look, like I would say our biggest competition outside of this valley would be Dutch Brothers, and they're like over 30 years old. Like that's an old company. They've had a lot of years to get to where they're at. And so I think really looking honestly at how long it took people to get to where they're at, and stop assuming that because you've been serving soda for 6 months, you're going to be on the same level as a 100-year-old Maverick, you know?
Yeah, I was surprised when I found out Maverick was 100 years old. That's crazy.
That is. I really love that you both kind of spoke to standing your ground and remembering where you're at and really focusing on your goal and your mission and your vision. And Kevin, you mentioned that people kept coming back.
Yeah.
Which I think really speaks to your customer experience.
Yeah.
And you guys do have an acclaimed customer experience. I keep coming back.
Thank you.
So can you speak to kind of how you built your customer experience and how that process looks and how that flows?
I think when I think of customer experience, I think of, and this is, you're laughing.
I'm laughing because I said he used to work that, like, basically we would pass like ships. Like I would open the shop and then Kev would, and then I'd go to the studio and then Kev would come and work. And there were occasional nights where I'd have to fill in or close the shop, and these housewives would roll through in their Suburbans and be like, "Where's Kevin? We want Kevin!" And I was always like, "Oh, shut up, like I can use a good Diet Coke." So that was kind of the initial joke, is that like he had this magical ability at the window.
I was born to work a drive-through window.
Yes.
I really was. I was like, it became very clear to me very early on that I was born to work a drive-through window. So we had been open for about a month. It was a couple days before Thanksgiving 2013, and it was me and one other employee working there, a lady working with me, and it was, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 o'clock at night. It was dark and cold. I just remember it was so cold, and I was working by that window, and this Suburban like rolls up the window, and this lady rolls down the window, and she is like mascara down her face, just wrecked, just like destroyed, right? And I looked at her and I was like, "Hi." I didn't quite know what to say. What can I get for you? And she ordered a drink and a cookie, and I told the lady there that I was working with what the order was, and she went to get the drink and the cookie, but I'm sitting here. Normally, what I love to do is connect with people and talk to people and make some sort of connection. That's what I believe Sodalicious is about, is making some sort of, I want our employees to make some sort of connection with the customer every single time. I don't care if it's just a little quick connection, but there's got to be something there. And that's what we shoot for. We don't hit it all the time, but that's what we shoot for. And I looked at the lady, and I didn't quite know what to say, but I just said, "You want to talk about it?" And she, like, her eyes kind of went big and like couldn't believe that I would ask that. Like, just kind of like, you can see that I don't even want to be looking at you right now. I feel so horrible, just like, and so she didn't respond right then. And I said, sometimes it just helps to tell somebody you don't know. And And she looked at me, and she just kind of sighed like that, and she goes, my marriage is falling apart, like, my world is destroyed. Like, something just happened, and her marriage was over in that moment. And she said, all I want right now is my cookie and my drink to give me a little bit of comfort. And like right on cue, her cookie and drink show up, and I hand them to her. And she took that cup, and she just took a sip of that soda. And it was just like, obviously it wasn't going to solve her problems. It wasn't going to fix her marriage or whatever was going on. But there was just this moment, and I could see it. I could see there was just this moment of relief and comfort that came with just that, the burn, the burn you get from the soda. And she like didn't look back at me. She just hit the button, the window just went up, and she drove away, And it has stuck with me, and I realized, and that was the moment. And I'm so glad it happened, 3 weeks, a month into our business, because I just went, oh, we're not selling soda. We're not selling cookies. We're selling experience. We're selling celebration. We're selling comfort. This is something different, and this is something I can really get passionate about. And that's what changed. I mean, that for me was a huge driver, and has been a driver in our company ever since.
That's beautiful. The emotion behind what you do and what it means to your customers, that's incredible. So what advice would you give then to entrepreneurs who have the desire to build a very strong customer experience? Where would you tell them to start?
I would say you got to start with something you know and something that you're already passionate about. I mean, we drink a lot of soda and cookies still to this day. Like, we every day have a drink, and maybe not a cookie, but we want one every day.
I know.
I would just say it has to be a real thing that you like Sodalicious was born out of the fact that like I would have gone to the gas station every day of my life and gotten a drink if I didn't have to take my kids out of the car seat and take them into the gas station and fight with them about what they wanted and deal with the crappy ice and deal with the gross flavors and maybe the bad mix on the fountain, right? Like, those were barriers for me that were not overcomable. And so providing this answered 5 problems I have on a daily basis. And I knew that if that was a problem that a pretty like straightforward basic person had, then there were going to be a lot of people that had that same problem.
So as Sodalicious grew, sometimes it can be hard for things to be translated down, right? As you hire more employees and you bring more people onto the team, a lot of times it's hard to keep that culture there. How did you do it? How did you continue to teach employees about customer
Not
experience?
well.
Speak to it.Ell us all about it.
I'm going to let Kev do that.
So in 2017, we opened 10 stores, and that about killed us.
We had some partnerships that were really, really intent on growing as fast as possible. We heard a lot of this, like, there's a land grab. If you don't do it, your competitor's going to do it. And we got on that train or that bus, and we pushed the gas.
Yeah, I think there was once like Sodalicious took off, there was all these people like knocking down our door. Let's franchise. We want a franchise, and we were not in a good spot with our partners at the time. It was just because it was 2 couples, so it was just kind of like we were stalemated. We couldn't move. We brought on a 5th partner who had experience in growth. We had access to his network. We had access to his wisdom. There was a lot of things. In a lot of ways, he was a mentor for me, and so we took off on this like crazy like dead sprint of growth, opening all these stores in different states, and all of a sudden, I don't know the employees in the store. I don't know. But not only I don't know the employees, I don't know the customers coming through. Whereas before, when we had a couple, 2 or 3 stores, I knew the customers. I was still working the window. But all of a sudden, we're growing that fast, I couldn't be there anymore, and so that became so hard and taxing. And 2017 was for all the growth and how awesome that was a horrible, horrible year.
Yeah, it was.
Like, I hated it so bad. And just like, honestly, I hated it so bad. And just like, where are we at? Why are we doing it? And it showed. Like, I got to this place where by the beginning of 2018, like, I was like, I didn't start this business to like all of a sudden come and just sit in an office every day and sit in these long executive team meetings that were like, I wanted to just hammer a nail into my forehead every, I seriously started waking up. We had executive team meeting every Monday and Wednesday morning, and I would wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning on Monday and Wednesdays and just be sick about going to the meetings I had to go to. Just like, I don't want to see these people. I don't want to hear them talk. I don't like it. Just like not a good place, right? Like not a good place.
And also, like, we didn't want to deal with the problems we were dealing with. I mean, it all got away from us. Our financing got away from us. Our employment got away from us. Our team, like, everything was beyond sort of, it didn't feel like there was a way to repair. Like, we would talk about, we knew the customer experience was off, right? Like, we hired this guy to run our Pleasant Grove shop, which I was opposed to that shop from the beginning because I couldn't even handle what the rent was on that building, you know? I was like, but like, we hired this guy who's an excellent worker, but who was like an army dude, you know? And he hired a bunch of dudes to work that window. And
we had a platoon working at the Pleasant Grove store. No
a
joke. We
lot of
had a
great
straight up,
stuff
and it was
happened.
clean as you couldn't believe, and it
So
was like,
great.
and he ran that thing like a platoon, but it was the wrong customer experience.
So it just didn't feel like there was any way to redeem it. Like, that's where I dreaded going in, because I was like, I don't even know where to start. Like, it didn't feel like it was anything we could fix.
Yeah.
So how did you?
So, okay. So
Also not a pretty story.
not a. Oh, wow, this is like.
I know.
It's like
Sorry,
therapist
guys.
time, all right?
Well, let's get ready for it then.
It's
call
worth
my
saying that,
therapist.
like, we're still, like, a happy, upgoing, like, sugar and caffeine, right? Like, that's a positive experience
Yeah.
for most people, but the way to get there was really not
So
sweet.
in 2018, I left. I was like, we had a partner who was like,
Told him that it was time for him to step off the bus.
yeah, that I was the wrong. It was that analogy that I was the wrong bus driver, and I was the wrong. And in a lot of ways, I probably was, you know, because I was in this place of like, I'm not happy in an office job. Like, I'm not. I don't exist well in an office job, and had worked to bring somebody else in to be the CEO, and I was like, great, yeah, I'm just gonna. Just give me a paycheck and I'll go away, and I did, and I went hiking up Rock Canyon every day, and I went to Europe a couple times, and
This is rad for
meanwhile
him.
Annie was still working.
Yeah, it was rad.
And I was like, man, this is so great. This is like, I like got real zen. Like I was like, and I was like, this is great. And about 6 months into that.
Well, it was before you. At 6 months, you came back, but it was a couple months into it, we realized, like, nothing that we'd hoped would fix and be changed.
With me leaving was going to be
So it was
remedied.
continuing to decline.
So when was that? In October, or November 1st of 2018, I came back and got on the bus and basically
Sent everybody else
off the bus. And said, this is not how we do Sodalicious. This is not how we're going to do Sodalicious. This is...
Thanks. Is this driving everybody crazy?
No, it's
I think my ear's too small. I don't know. Thank you.
Anyways, and so that changed. And I came back, and we had employees that had been with us from day one or week 2. And I had a meeting with all of them and just said, look, I love this company. I think we're totally lost right now. And I don't see the vision of where other people want to take this company. I will have your back and I will support you if you'll support me. but this is what we're going to do. And Annie and I were the majority. We could go do it, but it was we needed to have the right people doing the right things. And so there was definitely some cleanup. It felt like there was a year.
We scaled everything back, and Kevin and I just put our heads down and
worked
pushed.
our butts off.
Yeah, but it was a lot more satisfying. I'd say that work felt a lot more impactful, and we saw the results a lot faster. So that was really made it worth it.
I love that, and I love that you said you needed the right people doing the right thing, and I think that's really powerful, and again speaks to the culture of Sodalicious, which is incredible. I'd like at this time to open it up for some audience questions. We have time for about 3 or 4. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. We have some mic runners that will run you a microphone. Don't touch it. We'll hold it in front of you, and then we'll get to your question.
So are you still at the window?
From time to time. I was at the window at our new University Parkway location like 2 days ago. So from time to time. But I'm definitely not, it's not the way it was anymore. There's no, I go to the office when I want to go to the office. That's about it. So.
Yeah.
What does your day-to-day look like now? Like in a given week, what do you do?
Well, we don't have Monday and Wednesday meetings. We, at the beginning of COVID, we transitioned. We do have an office. It's a large bakery. It's where all of our cookies are manufactured. And we didn't go there very often. And the beginning of COVID, we just transitioned home. So Kevin and I work from home.
We actually, so I have an office downstairs. Annie has an office upstairs. But really, we share a desk. We
share a lot of things.
Yeah, we do. It's strange, but we literally are in this office together quite a bit.
I mean, I'm sure everybody can relate. Our kids are home, and we have little kids, and so it's been great to be able to just be home for the majority. We have opened a couple of shops during this time, so that sort of takes us out a little bit, but not in the same. I would say that didn't answer your question. Sorry. Do you want to answer that?
It starts with my day starts with my Sodalicious day starts with looking at yesterday's numbers, looking at just the reports, and we just have everything comes into a reporting system, so I know where every shop is at and they're up or down or what's going on, and then it's usually a call to our operations manager, and maybe talk through different things with her. And then I'm mostly working now on opening new locations, expansion. So it'll be looking at locations. It will be meeting with the architect. It changes. It's every day is a little bit different.
Which is awesome. We get to be home and sort of do pickups and eat lunch and whatever. I am a creative that does a lot of bookkeeping now, which is a hard transition, I think, for me. I hated it for the first little while. I don't hate it anymore.
She's really good at it. You always
I pay all the bills. I move the money around, and I'm grateful we've kept that. I think that's been a really helpful thing for Kevin and I to continue to sort of know and understand.
Okay, so you've nailed the Utah market, and on a much slower pace. We got it, right? What's the next market you're going to attack?
So we're in Arizona, and are looking to expand in Arizona now, and we're in Idaho, looking to expand there, and we've got some other places in the western United States that we're working on right now. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to say more of a comment than a question. Thank you. People talk about creating culture, and in some organizations it feels really forced and not natural. But as a husband to a wife who's happy to wait in your drive-through lines, that I don't understand, but she loves it, and a daughter who worked at one of your locations for about a year who loved going to work, you guys actually live what you preach, and so thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I love the authenticity. Thank you for being real and sharing that. And then also, what happened to the platoon?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I don't know. It's sort of disbanded. I think once we had a little more hand in the hiring process there, that
We didn't know it was going to turn into a platoon. Like, I don't think the people that hired the manager, like,
yeah,
it just, anyways,
hiring has been something we've had to fine tune, and we've found some good partners that have helped us really make that less of a fight, I think.
So it seems like in the past, few years, there's definitely been a lot more, competition, it seems like, in that market. How have you guys gone about managing that and differentiating Sodalicious? You guys are very successful.
I want you to.
okay. I think, ask it again. How have we...
Manage the competition
Oh.
and continue to be successful.
Yeah, so that goes back to the very beginning of just owning the fact that we were in the back of the barber shop. I guess it was if we aren't good at this, then we don't need to do this. We run a glorified lemonade stand. It's not
complicated.
Some of the competition takes it real seriously, and that's fine. And they have different business models or whatever, and that's fine. This works really well for us, and so, in fact, I had an employee call me the other day, and she was like, well, there's this other soda shop's going to be open down the street, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, so? I just come from this place of abundance. I am abundance. I am unlimited abundance. There is room enough for all of us. And there is room enough to, there's just room enough for all of us. So that's just kind of where I come from on that. And so it's always strange to me when people come on and say, well, what about this competition or that competition, or what they're going to go into this space or take this market, and that to me comes from such a scarcity mentality of what are you going to lose out on? It shows me there's a lack of content in someone's life, or it shows they're missing. I don't know. That's just me again, hiking in the mountains, just getting real zen. But I am unlimited.
I will say we've just had to focus on moving our lines as fast as we can, because people do wait, and we recognize that that's an ask, that we're asking them to wait for something as simple as a drink. So trying to move our lines as fast as we can, trying to maintain the quality of the products that we're offering them, and also just recognizing that there's a lot of drinks out there. People can go to a variety of places to get their drinks, and we're really grateful that they choose to come to us.
I think that's a great note to end on, and there's room enough for all of us. For the final question, which is our traditional question at RevView, what is something fun that your success has allowed you to do?
Okay. You.
Me?
Yeah, you like the fun.
Both of us? When in 2013, in the beginning of 2013, so before we'd started Sodalicious or even decided that we were going to do a soda place, so Annie was the costume designer. She was the head costume designer for the church's Bible videos. And we went to Sicily to film for 6 weeks. And me and the kids got to come along, which was awesome. And so before we did that, before we got to Sicily, we decided, we're going to go to Rome. We're going to see Rome, and because this was an opportunity to just get over there. And my family comes from Austria, and I have family in Austria. And I'd never been to Austria. I'd met lots of the relatives when I was 7 years old. They came over to America and visited us and brought me this picture of the house that my great-grandfather was born in. And that picture had hung on my wall my entire life. And so we were going to go to Austria just for the weekend. And they took me to this house, and I had this really amazing spiritual experience standing at this house. It's clear up in the Alps, looking over the most beautiful valley, and why did my great-grandfather ever leave this place? And we were only there for a short time, and then we were on the bus back out of Austria, heading back down to Venice, and we were just coming through the Alps, and looking out the window at this like beautiful river, just crystal clear river, and I just start crying. And Annie is like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Well, we all had croup too, so we were not well.
What is wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know, but no place has ever felt more like home to me than this place. Like more than home. This place feels like I belong here. I don't speak German. I don't know, but I belong here. And I said, I got to figure out a way to like come back. I need to be here. And she was like, yeah, you figure that out. And anyways, so for me, I go to Austria every year. That has been one of the beautiful things of success. And I love going and knocking on people's doors in Austria with the last name of Auernig. And just showing up and just saying, hi, I'm Kevin Auernig, I'm from America.
I wait in the car on those, you guys. Super uncomfortable.
But the best was we went to real quick. We went to this deli in Salzburg, and it was the Auernig Butchery. And we go in deli, and we go in there, and I meet the guy in there, and he comes walking out, and we look the same. We like had the same smile, and he brings out his dad, and that's what I look like in 20 years. And it was like this really. So it has really like I'm really big into like where did I come from and family history stuff, and for me the greatest joy of this, one of the greatest joys of the success has been going and finding my family in Austria.
That's beautiful.
Can I go really fast?
Oh, absolutely.
Mine's shorter. I would just say that having spent 15 years being gone and being away from my kids and working really hard, it was a super satisfying career, but I hated the distance that was between me and my kids. And so this has really provided a great life for us. I can be home. I don't feel this rush. Our kids see us all day, every day. They understand sort of the intricacies of businesses, and it's created a really like happy life dynamic for me. So I'm really grateful for that.
Well, thank you. Kevin and Annie, it has been an honor having you here at RevU. I'm going to invite AJ back up. We have a little gift for you, but let's give one last thank you to Kevin and Annie.
Thank you.